So what word or phrase is right? Blind, sight loss, visually impaired, low vision, legally blind. Which one is right, and which one should we be using, not only for ourselves, but for the general public as well? What's up, VIPs? Derek here, back with another video, and I recently got a comment on one of my videos, and the person was talking about how I use the term sight loss on my channel and podcast all of the time. Now, first of all, let me address this. Sight loss is in the name of my channel and the name of my website, so yes, I'm going to use sight loss quite a bit. It's sort of the brand that I have. But they were mentioning how I use sight loss and not really the word blind. And they talked about how we should, quote, call a spade, and talk about being blind because it's a descriptor. Just like if something is green, we would call it green. It is a descriptor for who we are. And their point was that many times people don't understand being visually impaired, so it's much easier just to say that they're blind and, they get that. So I thought I'd address this here on the channel and let you guys know a couple of things, at least from my perspective. Now let me go ahead and start off by saying every comment I appreciate. Even if you disagree with me, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts because look, we're all different people. We've all got different thoughts. I'm not the expert on anything, and so I appreciate your comment. Even this person I'm replying to here on the video, this is not a shot or anything like that. This is just to share my thoughts, and I appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts. Let's start with, again, sight loss is part of my channel, so I'm gonna continue to say sight loss. And the reason I have sight loss is because when I was 18, I went from sighted to legally blind, or sighted to blind, sighted to visually impaired, whatever phrase you want to use. I was sighted, and then I experienced sight loss. Now, maybe some of you have been blind since birth, or blind since a very young age. You don't remember seeing at all. That doesn't mean you're not welcome here. We want you to be here because you offer experience that I don't have. You offer information I don't have. And so we all have to learn from one another. But I do use sight loss because basically my videos are for my 18-year-old self. That person that didn't know what was going on, didn't know what to do, didn't have any idea about technology or anything else. That's what these videos are for. That person who's totally lost, whether they're 18, 45, 78, or 12, it doesn't matter. That's what these videos initially are for. Now, it doesn't mean they're not for other people, like sighted people or people that have been blind since birth or things like that. Anybody can join me because we're all community and working together. But that's why I named it Life After Sight Loss. My good buddy Tim Schwartz over at lifeafterblindness.com, he and I have talked a few times about it. And just so you know, Life After Blindness actually came first, so I inadvertently ripped him off. I didn't intentionally rip him off, but that's ended up what happening. But I have sight loss in my title because that's what it's about. It's about losing your sight, going from sighted to visually impaired. So that's why sight loss is in there. Secondly, I think I would disagree with this comment or this commenter that people understand the word blind better than visually impaired. I don't think people, especially sighted people who've never experienced a blind person, have any idea what any of those words mean because they've never experienced it. We can use those terms interchangeably and we get it because we've experienced it. But if I tell somebody I'm blind, they assume it means total blindness because they've never experienced anything else. It's either totally sighted or totally blind. My wife was actually telling some of her coworkers the other day about it, and they were asking, oh, is he totally blind? Like, no, he has some sight left. He's visually impaired. So maybe people don't understand visually impaired or low vision or whatever, but I don't think they understand blind either. I think they forget it's a spectrum. And my good buddy Juan from JC5 Productions did a whole video about that. Maybe I'll link that down in the description. If I remember it later, hopefully I will, fingers crossed. Note to self, load Juan's video. I'm talking into my hand right now, so I'm doing nothing. Anyway, but he had a whole video about the spectrum of blindness, and it was great because there were quite a few of us who shared how we see and how we don't see. And the reality is majority of people who have sight loss, who experience low vision, have some sight remaining. So it's actually not total blindness all that often. The other real important thing I want you to know is that you can use whatever word or phrase you want. You can call yourself blind, legally blind, visually impaired, you have sight loss, low vision, you can say you have a visual disturbance, whatever you want, you can say it because it's your thing. Look, I don't even mind the words disabled or handicapped. I don't care. If somebody says, oh, so you're disabled. Yeah, I guess, Now, some people hate that word. Some people like to say handy-capable. I personally don't like those. I'm just like, look, call me whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm Derek. That's me. Some people get caught up in the idea of person-centric or person-centered language. Like instead of saying I'm a visually impaired person, I would say I'm a person who is visually impaired. But PVI sounds a lot worse than VIP, so we're sticking with VIP. But that's the thing, like we get caught up in these words in this language. But the truth is, whatever is helpful to you, that's what you should use. Think of it like this. It's kind of like a person who loses a spouse not being ready to call themselves a widow or a widower. They're just not ready for that word. It doesn't matter what's going on. They're just not ready for that. And maybe some people are not ready to call themselves blind. Maybe they don't like that term. Maybe the term visually impaired applies to them better. They like it more. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. And here's the thing. I'm not bashing anybody or yelling at this commenter or anything like that. I'm just sharing some thoughts because I think it's important enough to share. I use sight loss. I use visually impaired. I use low vision. I use blind. I use legally blind, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is who are you at your core? Blindness, visual impairment, sight loss is part of who you are, but it is not the whole and does not describe me completely. It is a descriptor of me, yes, as that commenter said. Just like I'm wearing a burnt orange shirt right now. If you can't see, it's burnt orange. You can describe the shirt as burnt orange. You can also describe it as a button-up shirt. You could also describe it as kind of plaid patterns. You could also say it is a collared shirt. You could say a lot of different things to describe this one shirt, but none of them describe the shirt completely. And that analogy I just came up with on the spot, so there you go. None of these words describe me completely because just because you say I'm blind, there's so much more about me than that. And just because you say I'm visually impaired, there's so much more about me than that. I don't know how we took this turn into this on this video, but here we are. The end of the video is this. You are who you are. You are fill in the blank. Say your name right now. That's who you are. Maybe you're a person who has been blind since birth. Maybe you're a person who lost your sight recently. Maybe you're a person who is losing their sight currently. Maybe you're a sighted supporter. Maybe you're a sighted person who wants to know more about helping blind people. Whoever you are that person. And those other things just are a small descriptor of who you are. I wanted to comment on this and just let you guys know those things. Sight loss is part of my channel and podcast, so we're going to keep saying it. Blind is a great descriptor, but only one descriptor. Use whatever phrase you want to use because it's up to you. And finally, I think we have a lot of education left to provide to sighted people out there because I just don't think they understand any of those words. And you know what? That's okay. I'm not mad at them. I didn't understand those words when I lost my sight, but now I do because I've experienced it. And so let's keep on educating as we go along so that people will know what blind, what visually impaired, what low vision, and sight loss really means. All right, there you go, guys. There was a bunch. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Like, there you go. There's a bunch of stuff. I can't possibly come up with one question, so I'm just going to ask you to leave comments down below because that's what this video started off as, so I want more comments. And that commenter that left that, I want your comments too. I want everybody to comment. Doesn't matter what you think. What's your descriptive word? What words or phrase do you use? What kind of things do you think about when you think of sight loss and visual impairment? Are you a sighted person who doesn't quite understand? Are you a sighted supporter who's trying to understand what's going on in your life? I want to hear about it. I want to learn from it. I'm sure others would as well, so let me know in the comments below. Hey, if you liked today's video, this whole mashup of, just words I threw out, if you like it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and share it out with somebody that you know. Hey, and if you're new around here and you want to learn more about living your life to the fullest as a visually impaired person or sighted supporter, well, go ahead and get started and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss another single video. Thank you so much for watching today, and remember, sight loss isn't the end, it's just the beginning. My name's Derek Daniel from lifeaftersightloss.com, and I'll see you in the next one.